Mode.
Hello, welcome to the ProKitchen software basic level training. My name is Bill Allen. Many of you know me as your account manager and sales rep. For the rest of you, I will be your trainer for today. I'm going to be beginning the program by going over some of the intro and basic default design setting things that you need to do to make sure that you set your program up correctly and your software up correctly to be able to get the designs to start the way you wanted and set up correctly. Then I'll walk through a basic design. Before I go into the design, I'll also show some of the new features, new releases that are the result of our release on version 7. And then finally, I will open it up for question and answer at the end. Beginning with ProKitchen software, whenever you open the design, you get the option to create a new design or open an existing design. For our purposes today, I will create a new design. I'll click OK, and I get my design settings screen. The very first thing you have to do, and very, very important, is save the design, which you do by clicking on this folder. Now, I'm going to flip over to another open screen and show you in your design settings, the default settings, the same folder here. If you click on this, you open up your program, and you can set it to open to a specific folder. If you've not already done so, I encourage each of you to create a folder called ProKitchen Designs or some such name so that you will know what it is and where it is, so that you'll be able to find your design and they will always save to this folder. I say this as something very important because I have found the computer, if you don't set a place for it to save the designs in a default settings, it seems to send it to some very random and obscure places, and I've had many customers call frustrated, having great difficulty finding a design that they've created previously. So I recommend that you go into your ProKitchen folders. If I go up here, you'll see I've got a ProKitchen Designs folder. Double click on it, and now I could click OK, and I've set this as the path to where all of my designs will save. So then I could click OK here, and I'd come back, and here, when I click on this folder, it automatically saves it to my ProKitchen Designs. So I'm going to call this the February Basic Training Webinar, and save, and this portion is ready to begin. Now, other fields in the design settings screen on this first page, anything you put in here will show up later in a customer report. So if you have a contract number for a client, say whatever you want, 34234, I'll do an order number 1. My design status, this is going to be the final design. Processed by, I'm Bill. You can put in as much or as little information in here. Be careful. I had a customer put in something to the effect that Dingling needs to make up her mind, and didn't know it would show in a customer report at the end, and was quite embarrassed when the customer read it and walked away. On the next tab, Customer. It can be very challenging to pull up a design if you don't have a customer assigned. Browse will bring up your customer database, which you can create one client at a time by selecting New. I've already got myself in here, so I will do Select, and brings up my customer information. The dealer information is something, once you put this in here, it will come up every time for future reference, so you don't need to keep repeating it. For instance, my fax number I'll throw in here. Now I've got this loaded in here. I don't have a mobile, and I'm not giving my customers my phone, so I'll just leave that as it is and move on to the next. Designer. Unless you are sharing your computer with many other designers, you probably will always do same as dealer. Browse would pull up a designer database similar to the customer database we have. I've met few instances where this is needed. Supervisor is if you're having two people sharing a computer. The supervisor basically gets you to set one person in as the dealer, the other as the supervisor, so that you can click same as dealer, same as designer for the designer portion. The next row of tabs will affect your design. Very important. All of these also can be set in the defaults. So I'll come back here, go to my default settings, and we're going to find under construction, I've got my same page. Wall thickness, for example. Truly, a wall is 4.5 inches. Two 2x4s come out to be 4.5 inches. I usually leave this at 4. Many people will change this to 4.5, so you can do that here. Now, whenever you have a dimension, there are two ways to edit it. You can type in the dimension, or you can use the arrows. The inside sets of arrows change the fractions of the inches. The outside sets of arrows change the fractions of an inch. The zone width is the placement zone around a wall, which you basically will never need to change. There will be times where you may want to turn it on or off, but essentially you will never need to change that. The wall height, of course, you will change based on the kitchen you're working in. Now, an item here I have set as bottom alignment. I'm going to change my default to top because I like to draw attention to it when I'm showing people. But this is your wall cabinets. Do you want them to be top aligned or bottom aligned? And I've got mine set for normally bottom alignment, but I'll do my default as top. And other things in here you can load as well. The countertop tab, once again, I'll move next to moldings. We have you choose your moldings at the very beginning. You can change it at any time. In fact, I'll come over here to close out of my defaults. And you can also set your moldings, by the way, in your defaults if you have favorites. But I'm going to click OK and come out of here. Anytime after you've started the design, you can click on this button and come back to your design settings and change this information. So I'm over here now and I'm setting it, and I use the Homecrest catalog for demonstration purposes. And I'll grab the first light rail molding I find. And later I may decide I want to change that. All I'd have to do is come over here, click on this button, and I could access it to change it. But for now, I'm going to put in Homecrest for my catalogs, and I'll stick with the classic crown. And for the toe kick, I am going to use the WT04.5. And now I've got this set. I'm going to go to my countertop. Many of you tell me your overhangs are 1.5 inches and your thicknesses are 1 1/4, or whatever the case may be. I hear different things from a lot of different designers. You can set these here on a per design basis, or once again, in the default settings, you can set your countertops to the thicknesses that you prefer to use on a standard basis. My 3D allows me to set the images for each of my surfaces: countertop, wall covering, flooring, and ceiling. Select brings up our stock library. It is very easy to import things into your own library of user collections so that you can have your own items in the design in the catalog. Now, this bottom item, company's logo, is something new that we've added. And I can do select, and I'll come to my desktop, and I've got my ProKitchen logo here. I've added this. It happens to be way big, and I can determine where it shows: left upper, right upper, left bottom, right bottom corner. You can import your own logo to show in the high definition renderings of a design when you print it out. And once again, all of these, I can go to my design settings. Moldings, I can preset my favorites. Units, I can If you don't want it in imperial inches, you can change it to feet in inches or some form of metric. Here's my 3D where I can set all of these to defaults. I'm going to bring that ProKitchen logo into my defaults. Cabinets is something a little different. If you're not using the standard size cabinets, you can edit these here. And then I'll come back. Units we've already discussed. Now I never change my units of measure from inches. Once I've done all of this in the design settings, I can click OK, and I'm ready to start designing. Now I'm going to come back over here to my default settings and show a couple things that I skipped over that are very important. The reason we have you save the design before you do anything else is so our two features, auto save and auto backup, can work for you. Now the defaults are 5 minutes and 10 minutes. There's no reason to ever change the auto save from every 5 minutes. However, some of you using other software programs may have discovered that auto saving something doesn't help you very much if you've lost the saved file. That's why ProKitchen has the auto backup. Our program will create a true backup for you every 10 minutes. So this not only protects you if there is something that causes your system to crash and you lose your saved file, it's also very helpful if you have a customer change their mind and you need to go back to an earlier version of the design. Other things in here, we have a customer report where you can set the sales tax, design charge, shipping charge, installation charges, and discounts that you want to use per cabinet line. So I use HomeCrest, as I said, for my demos. I don't have any of this built into my defaults. I like to keep it at 0. You will find in some of our catalogs these come with preset defaults. So you may need to go in and zero these out so that they don't automatically produce confusing numbers in your software, in your designs. So this being done, I'll cancel out of here, and I'm going to come back to our design here. Now I say you're ready to design. If you left-click and start drawing walls, you have to be very careful to make sure you do them in a clockwise direction, because I'll do a couple walls and I'll hit escape. Here's my walls, and my placement zones are on the inside. If I did the same thing, this pencil will do the freehand draw of the walls. I left click. Oops, try that again. Left click, push up, go the other way, and hit escape. My placement zones are on the outside of the kitchen. And later, when I try to look at an elevation view, I'm going to be getting the wrong sides of the walls. So it's very important when you start to put your walls in a clockwise fashion. Now, I said I was going to show a couple things from the new version 7. One of those, if I right-click, there's 3 things that I tell people you always want to have checked off. The display distances on mouse navigation, the automatic fillers, and the wall zones. New, we have a catalog tooltip. This you will want on if you do a lot of modifications. I turned it on so that you'll be able to see it when I start the design, but I will turn it off later. Now, we've laid out our left-hand toolbar to include everything that goes into the design. And if you work down the toolbar, it's a fairly logical flow of what you need to place into a design in the order you will do it, starting with your walls. The pencil with a solid line draws a wall. The pencil with a dotted line draws an invisible wall that you would use for an island or peninsula. We also have easy-to-use pre-shaped room templates. When you pick a template, you simply select the orientation you want and plug in the dimensions. Now, I'm using a beta version of the new ProKitchen 7.0, 0.9, the test version. So I've got a couple bugs in here. I don't believe the wall height, it may work here, I'm not certain if it does, but I'm going to leave it at 96, and I tell you to program it as much as possible into the design settings at the beginning. Now I click OK, and there's my wall. Now I'm going to spend a few minutes here because if you don't get your walls right, nothing else will fall into place. So first, editing walls. If I left click on a wall, I get these handles. Now I'm going to scroll my mouse out so you can get a little bigger picture. If I hover over the mouse, I get the crosshairs. If I left click and let go, my info box automatically populates with the length, and I can type in whatever length I want there. If I want to turn the wall, there it is. I can move it to whatever angle I want, say a 45-degree angle at 135, or I could just type in the dimension I want, which I believe was, whoops, well, not 180, I wanted just the opposite. I'll undo and bring it back down to 90. Other things that we can do here, I can right-click, select the wall, and I can go to Attributes to change the attributes of the wall, or I can rotate it, move it, resize it, extrude it, add wall, add a construction line, or continue wall. I'm going to demonstrate the extrude first. The extrude allows me to do a bump out, say for a refrigerator or something. So I'm going to set this at, say, 6 inches from the left-hand end. So I'll type in the 6 and enter, and now I draw it back. How wide do I want this to be? Well, let's say I'm going to put in a 39-inch fridge there, and maybe I want a 41-inch, with side panels, I may want a 42-inch cutout, and I may set it back, say, 28 inches deep. I'm just making up numbers, and obviously I'm not a designer. I make that very clear. I technically know the software very well, and I train it from a technical standpoint, but you wouldn't ever want to try to sell my kitchens. So here I've made a little bump out that I could set my refrigerator in. What else can I do with the walls? Say I wanted to put a pantry in the corner here. I could right-click on the wall, select it, add wall, adds a wall off of the interior. So now I'm moving my mouse and showing where I want the wall, or I can type it in, say 36. I'll type in 36 there, enter, and now I can draw my wall out to whatever dimension I want. I'll do 36, make it square, and now it ends. Now let's say a client says, well, I don't want that at 36. I wanted to add something else. Or you weren't sure what dimension you wanted. You can click on it and move this wall. Now, the dimensions show there as you're moving it. One thing I'm finding that I've had people tell me is very nice, and I'm just going to, for fun, I'm going to grab a base cabinet, and I'm just going to drop this cabinet. Oops. I'm going to switch to my Homecrest catalog. When you come out of the walls, the first thing you see is the cabinet here with 2 doors. I tell everybody that's a reminder to do 2 things before you continue. Number 1, you want to choose your cabinet line. Number 2, you want to find the 2 cabinet doors on the top toolbar and set your global options. Door style, please click to select. I left click, and here's all my options. I like the Heritage Arch. I can left click to see it, or simply right click to place it, or double click on something to select it. So I'm going to quick run through my global options and set the values that I like. And I'll just grab that works and come back here to close it. Now I'm going to grab a base cabinet here just for demonstration purposes, and I'm going to throw it on this wall. Watch what happens when I move the wall. Whoops, I grabbed the wrong item. Just a second. There's the wall. I move the wall. The cabinet moves with it. This does not happen in some other programs, and I'm told by some people it's a great source of grief and aggravation. Now I'm going to delete that wall and this cabinet. Let's say I wanted to put a pantry in here. I could right-click. I did that already. Let's say I want to continue this wall. I can continue it at any angle I want. If I move the mouse, it moves in 45-degree increments, or I can type in my dimension, 48, 135, enter, and I can do 0, enter, to escape, or just hit escape. So there I've done a quick and easy layout. Now, I've found most designers will use the freehand pencil, where I can just left click, push up, do 135, enter, 144, enter, 48, tab, 135, enter, 0, enter, and it's done. And then I do my extrude here if I wanted to do that. Now, when you come out of the walls, the first thing you see here is the cabinet door. Oh, and I forgot to show something over here. On this wall, another way to edit the walls is using attributes. I can make this wall a different height, 40.5, a different thickness, I'll make it 4.5. I could change the length. I can put a placement zone on both sides, so I can place cabinets on both sides, or so that it simply doesn't disappear from view. Say I wanted to put, make this a knee wall, I could put stools on the other side, and if I have the placement zone on both sides, the stools will go there and they won't disappear. I'll click OK, and I'm also, to demonstrate something else later, going to come here and do my back wall zone inside and outside also. So here we've got our walls. Now, as you come down the toolbar after the cabinets, we've got first your main room elements, doors and windows. These are going to be the first things you place. You want to set your cabinets first, but you're really going to place your doors and windows before you put in any cabinets. So they're your first options. Then we've got appliances and plumbing. These are probably the next most important things in the design after the cabinetry. Finally, the lighting. Lighting is a big deal in the software. It's the difference between a kitchen that's pretty and a kitchen that makes people say, wow. So I really encourage people to use the lighting. We also have furniture and decorative items, and a solutions tool, which allows you to take a combination of things that you may use over and over again and save them as a group so that later you can place them as one grouping instead of as going into the catalog and grabbing 3 separate items. We have one button to add your countertop to the cabinetry, and a button to custom create pieces that aren't automatically generated over the cabinets, such as the knee wall that we're going to need here, or perhaps to edit your pieces, such as rounding corners, adding an edge profile, that sort of thing. You can do one button to add the backsplash, or you can create the backsplash in the Countertop Designer program. And then one button here adds the moldings that you selected at the beginning. And once again, at any time, you can go back here into the design settings and change the moldings that you have selected. So this is not a once and final selection. We also have a Closet Designer application. ProKitchen does not charge extra for the closet module or the countertop module like some other software companies do. These are included as standard with your software. So, the first thing I want to show here is our window. Now, we've done something new here in our windows with our version 7 release. So you see when I grab a double hung window, I get a nice picture of it here. I can right-click and rotate it around to see it. Notice the depth to the window. This is part of our new 3D technology that we've added with our software. Soon all of our cabinet lines will be this way as well. Right now, a few of them, Aristocrat, Decora, and Great Northern, were the first, and the sample catalogs were the first to be done, where the cabinet doors have this depth to them as well. But I'll grab a 36-inch high window, and I'm going to place it. Now my catalog tooltip popped up. This is new. Let's say I wanted a 36 high window, but I didn't want a 32-inch width. That includes the casing. I want a 40-inch window. Well, I can set that right here. And I know where I want it set. I want it, we'll say, 49 inches from the left end. I'm going to see if that puts it where I want. And then I can set my elevation. If I don't want the window at 54 inches bottom, I want it higher or lower, I'll leave it there. And now I'll do place. And I set it in the wall, and it should automatically set it where I predetermined. And it did not, because I hit place instead of doing it through the catalog tooltip. But now that I've got it here, I can grab this window and center it, position it from something, fit it into an area, or snap it up to something. I'll center it to the wall. I'm also going to double click on the window and bring up the attributes. Here's something else we have new on Windows. We've always had the select background. You can import whatever picture you want the customers to see out the window. So if you've got a customer that warrants the extra effort, you could take a picture of their backyard, and that's what they would see when they look out this window. I have one dealer who includes a picture of himself looking into the kitchen, admiring it for the customer, and giving them a thumbs up sign. You can also edit your window parameters. Say you don't want the grill patterns. Come to Grill Patterns and choose No Grill. Or choose one of these other styles. Notice it automatically shows your selection here. You can change your size and layout to pick any style of layout for the window. You can change your, I'll bring this back to 32. You can change your construction, what style of window you want. You can grab a special shape, rectangular or radial. You can add window glazing so that it's a smoked window or white or matte, however you want it. You can edit the interior, so you can install stool and apron, which I'm not that familiar with, so I'll leave that out. You can change your casing width, and you can select your material. And I had chosen cherry, so that's pre-selected. You can define your window exterior. Do you want the exterior to be the same as your interior, or something different? Maybe a painted white. And you can select your window hardware. As it goes around, you see I click on black, it changed in the design. Brushed brass, there it is in the design. Whatever you select here is what it will show in your 3D. So I'll click OK. And now I'm going to OK, and my window's done. Now I'm going to start placing my cabinets. And I always start with the corner cabinets. So I'll grab over here, and I'll do a diagonal. That's my preference. And I'm going to click on one, and here's the picture. Now the tooltip sets up. This allows me to add modifications to this piece before I place it. I can also edit width, angle, height, depth, but remember, these things are going to show in the design, but they're not going to show to the manufacturer. So these are things you would only change if you're doing custom cabinetry and not sending something to a manufacturer. Also, when you get the picture here, I'll make it a little bigger. You can right-click and rotate it around, or left-click to see the interior. Here, there's nothing on the inside. It's a big open box. I'll come down to this one here. It's a full height door, and it's got a shelf. I'll grab this one here, and it's a full height door with a shelf also. I'm going to grab the one that has the false door, and I'm going to click and drag to place my first item. Now, most designers I find do not use these folder tree tools to search for their cabinetry. You use a catalog often enough, you get to know the nomenclature. So you'd come over to Find and just type in SB42 to get a 42-inch sink base to put under that window. Then I'll click and drag. Now I'm going to try to center it on the window, and I'll get as close as I can by eye, but I'm going to right-click and select Center and choose the window. Now, I've got something funny going on here. My dimensions are all turned off. I'm going to right-click. On my measurements, everything is unchecked. I did that in a previous design, and now here's my dimensions. Notice I have 15 inches here between the cabinets. Oh, this is new. It shows my open space on that wall here, 58 3/8 to the center point there. That's an unusual correlation from the corner where it's 51, and from the window 56, and so on. So I clicked an extra dimension in there that I'm used to having. I don't think I normally do appliances, and I'll just leave it as it is. Okay. So now, if you move your mouse in between any item, you'll get the dimension remaining on that wall. Now, many of you sell plumbing. Many of you do not. But whether you sell it or not, you're going to include a sink and a faucet in the sink base for display purposes. So I'm not going to worry about any doors in this kitchen. Before I do my appliances, I'm going to grab my plumbing here, and I'm going to grab some kitchen fixtures, and I'll start with a sink. And I use just a simple plain old 39-inch 2-tub sink. And I'll place, and I'm going to place it offset from center. If I center it manually, then I try to go use the centering tool. I've got so little base remaining, I'm not really certain if I'm actually centering it on the cabinet or not, but if I offset it, that's no problem. And now I'll grab my faucet. And I like this KSF2. So I'll place that, put it in here, and I'm done. So I'll cancel out of here, and now I'll right-click, select it, center, and click on the cabinet. And I'll grab the faucet, center, and I can click on the cabinet or the sink, and it's all centered. Now let's say every time you sold a sink base 42, you wanted to include this sink and this faucet. Well, left-click and draw a line that touches all three items. Right-click, come to Selection, and save it to your Solutions, this box here. Now, I can give it whatever nomenclature I want, whatever SKU. I'll call it SB42, because that's what I'm used to. But I'll type in with plumbing. And I could type in description. I'd probably put in my catalog name and the items that are included in here. And then, OK. I'll do cancel. And it would show up here in my solutions box for all future designs. SB42 with plumbing, Homecrest, 39-inch 2-basin sink, and KSF2 faucet. Here's a 31-inch undermount sink. Here I've got a B27B. Why do I have this? I had a customer, the only thing they changed was the price. They have a special relationship with a particular manufacturer where they have unique pricing. So they wanted that included in the in a separate folder. They did it in here. And we could have gone into categories and created an extra folder and separated these out. I also have in here a group of stainless appliances. I'll place these in the middle of my kitchen. And now that I've got them, I want to put the dishwasher next to the sink. So I click and drag in. I'm dragging the whole group. Well, I don't want to do that, so I'll right-click and ungroup them. Now I can put the dishwasher next to the sink and the range over in next to the corner cabinet. And oh my goodness, here I see I'm not going to be able to open this cabinet door. Well, another one of the positioning and cabinet placement tools we have, when you right-click, besides the center, we have Position, Fit, and Snap. Position, I get the crosshairs again. I click on the item I want to position it from. It says distance 0. Say I wanted to have a 3-inch filler there. I type in 3, enter, and it positions it for me. And then I can take my microwave and place it above. And if you notice, the sides of the microwave have disappeared, so you would think it's centered. If you make that assumption, you will be frustrated later. Take the time to stop and center it to make sure it's lined up correctly. And then my last appliance, I'll take the fridge and I'll just throw it anywhere on the wall. Notice it automatically snaps up to the item I just placed. I'm going to move it so it's 6 inches from the left-hand end. Now I need a 21-inch base, a 15-inch base, and something else to figure out here. So now, I first want to do my fillers. Remember I said we wanted to have 3 things checked. The display distances on mouse navigation, the automatic fillers, and the wall zones. The wall zones are important because you cannot place a door or a window. They will not go into a wall if the zones are off. And the wall cabinets will not reliably stay in the place, go into the places you're trying to put them. But the automatic fillers would automatically resize a 3-inch filler to whatever space you need. It will also do one other little thing, which I'm going to show you next. I'm going to come down here and find my fillers. And I'll take a base filler, corner, and I will click and drag, and I'll drop it in here. And oh my goodness, I still can't open this cabinet door because the filler matched the range for depth and height. Well, I'll undo that filler, and this time I'll click and drag it again. This time I'm not going to drag it across the range, I'm going to drag it across the corner cabinet. And oops, hold on. And every now and then, GoToMeeting takes a little too much energy there. I'll cancel. Now I'm out, and I'll try that again. I'm going to drag this across and drop it in. And now it matched the cabinet. So the automatic fillers will automatically size this to fill the space, but it will also match it to whatever item you place it next to and drag it across. We also have added in our new release a corner filler. I need to place my cabinets first here. Hold on, what am I doing? Come in here and do a base 21R. And I can double click on this and it will automatically fill to the right of the item that I had highlighted. I'll do the same with a B15. Oops. Drop it in over here. Now, Homecrest does not offer a modification to put in a 27-inch base and angle the side up to 17, which is what I'm told I would need to do. So I'm going to take this B15 and put a style in. So I'll double click and I'm going to come to Modifications in my tooltip. And here's an extended style. I want a style on the right. So I'll click Add, and it asks me to define how big. I want 2 inches. This is a $75 upcharge. Okay, now I've got it. I also have decided that since this is next to the dishwasher, I want to throw in a cutlery tray. Well, Rev-A-Shelf has those, and Rev-A-Shelf is included in all of our designs. So I'll come over here, and I use the polymer because it shows up better in the 3D. And there's my cutlery tray. Click Add, pick my drawer, OK, and OK, and now I place it here. And now I can just come over here and grab, say, a 36-inch base, double door, and I'm going to uncheck this so this doesn't keep popping up because I don't use that many modifications, and I'll drag this over into the corner. Now, my last corner item we've just added in this release, a corner filler. So I can click and drag this and bring it in, and it automatically fills that corner. Now, I have this gap here, which is no big deal. If I had taken this B15 and had made it a B17 and removed that modification, that corner filler would have matched that perfect. But, whoops, redo, and I will bring this back. Double click is a shortcut to attributes. I'll make it a B15 again, and I'll bring that modification back in. And now I'm going to right click and snap this to the dishwasher. There we go. Now my wall cabinets. I'm going to start in the corner again. And I'll start, I like the diagonal, so I'll go 15-inch deep this time. And this one has a really slick Lazy Susan, 36-inch high. If I left click, you can see the Lazy Susan on the inside. It looks very nice. I'll click and drag it in here. Next, I'm going to place a cabinet over my fridge. Now remember, in our design settings at the very beginning, we set our wall cabinets to come in at a 54-inch bottom alignment. Obviously, that is not going to work for a cabinet above the refrigerator. So I'm going to take a 15-inch high cabinet. This is 39 wide. And if I try to drop it here, it drops it off to the side. So I'll left click and place it. Now I'll right click on it. And another positioning feature we have is stack. Above or below something. In this case, above. Click on the refrigerator. And if I wanted to do, say, an 18-inch cabinet above the microwave, I would just click and drag this out here. Right click and stack above the microwave. Which brings me to another item that I found myself personally very frustrating the first time I used the software, was what if you don't have a cabinet above the microwave, but a cabinet built for a microwave cabinet, or any appliance cabinet for that matter? How do you get the appliance into the cabinet? How do I get the microwave into that cutout? Well, if I place this out here, I can show you. We'll right click and select here and go to attributes. Other times I've just been double clicking, but I'll show you this way also. And here's my cutout. And here is a tab titled Appliances. And I can choose Add Appliance, Cooking, Microwave, built in. I'll just grab stainless steel here, place, and now it's in the design. But I need to, my cutout is 29 inches wide and 17 1/4 high. My microwave is 26 3/4 high and 18 5/8 high. Well, that height is going to be too big for this, so I'll make it 16. And obviously I need to adjust the height on this, the elevation, which I think I can do elsewhere. This shows it positioned correctly. I think that's going to work. We'll see in the 3D if it ended up where I wanted. We'll take a quick peek here. Yeah, it's the right. It was looking funny in the attributes, but it's in the right place, right cutout there. So now that's how you put your appliance into an appliance cabinet. I'm going to delete this because we actually don't need it for this design, which left me here. So now I'll go to my 36-inch high wall cabinets, and I need a 12-inch there. I'll use a left hinge door, double click, and there it is. And a 21-inch door on the other side of the microwave, double click, and since it had no place to go to the right, it automatically filled to the left when I double clicked. But it won't work around corners, so you still need to click and drag to go around the corner. And it won't jump open spaces, so I still need to click and drag to get it over the microwave. And I'm going to right click on that. Just a second. I'm going to right click here and center it. Whoops, I missed it. Center on the dishwasher. Now, let's say you've got a customer that changes her mind. I'm certain that's never happened to any of you, but every time I do any work, my customer or helping someone, they always change their mind. My customer doesn't want this wall at an angle anymore. They want it as a straight continuation of the sink wall. I will left click and bring this wall up to straight. Now I can take my cabinet here, delete it, and I'll right click here and come down to replace, and replace this with a 27-inch. And now I'm going to right click on it again, go to attributes, and I'm going to remove the extended style. Then I can pull it out and move this over, and I'll replace this with a 48-inch. Then I'm ready to put in my last wall cabinet. I'll grab a 27. And I'm going to, I have my wall cabinets done. Now, some people like to design in the elevation view and place in their wall cabinets. I simply do my editing there. But to get an elevation view, you select the wall you want and hit the elevation icon. And here's the elevation. Now, anytime I have the wall highlighted, the same wall highlighted, if I hit this elevation icon, I get another elevation of the same wall. So you want to right click, delete. But if I have a bunch of elevations up there, I'm not going to remember from one day to the next what L1, L2, L3 is. So you can right click, select Edit View, and give the wall a name. In this case, I'll call it the sink wall. And another nice feature in here, is, I'll close the floor plan for a moment. If you move your mouse into the design, you get the vertical and horizontal dimensions in the design. So this tells you the space you have to work with in the elevation view as well as in the floor plan. Now I'm going to click on the fridge wall and get the elevation here. And this needs a little work, which we knew it would. I'll right click, edit view, and I'm going to call it the fridge wall. Now I'm going to close my floor plan and do my editing here. I see I've got 12 inches here and 6 inches there. So I want to make this uniform 6 inches across. I could click on this cabinet, left click on the arrow, and move it up. And you can spend most of the day trying to get that to fit and not have any success. I find the more you zoom in, the better your odds are at moving it at a small enough fraction that you can actually get the fraction you want. But don't waste your effort. Come over here and type in the dimension you want. And there it is. Or don't click the handle at all, just type it in. Now the microwave I can just pull up. And there's my fridge wall. Now I've had many customers tell me that hold on. That they like to put in comments or notes either for the customer or the installers. We have a comments menu, but I think the best kept secret in our software is under View, our comment toolbar, where here you see we have the options to add comments, add lines, add schematic lines, or put in any amount of shapes that you want that you can add labels to. So for example, I'll place a comment down here and I'll do tag number 1 and my comment will be note to installer. Now if this was something I wanted to use, if I use this note quite frequently, I could do add, and now it shows up in my comments list. So next time I could just click on this and I'd not have to type it. And I'll do OK. And there's my note to installer. I can click on the line button and draw a line to direct this to something. But if you want it to look even better, I can right click on the line and I can add an arrow at the end. And I can come down here and do schematic line. Say I want it to show where the electrical runs. Well, the electrical runs from here, up here, out here, and I know it would never run this way, but it gives you an idea how simple the tool is to work. Every time I left click, I'm doing a turning point, and when I'm done I either hit escape or I can come up here, reset the mouse, click X. Now I'm done with my schematic lines. I can also put labels on things. For example, say I want a label on my appliances. I could click my hexagon and put my label on, or click multiple items first, then place my shape, and now that I'm done, I still have the crosshairs, I reset the mouse button. And now I double click, and I can say Amana, or whatever it is I want, and I can change the font style or size to fit my box, or I could change my box to fit my font style. So this is a very popular tool, the comments. Also, conversely, rather than adding comments, sometimes I have designers that want to take the dimensions and labels away. They don't want something that's too easy for a customer to shop around. So I'll right click and I'll come to my display settings, and I'm going to turn off all of my measurements. Click OK, and there they are. Now I'm going to come back to display settings, and I'm going to take those appliances and do not display the label. Same with my plumbing. Do not display the label. Same with my windows and doors. And now I've got a clean view to show my customer. Similarly, while I have multiple views on the elevations, I can do multiple views on the floor plan. Simply take your view 1, view 2, view 3, view 4. These are all the same now. However, I can come over here and I'll right click this, select edit, and I'm going to call it master. This is the master view that I've created. That is basically everything I'm working on. It's got all my information. It shows everything. View 2, I'm going to edit and call it a customer view. So I'll come over here to customer, and then I'll come down. I'll right click in the floor plan, choose my display settings again, and once again I'll go to measurements and I'll turn all the measurements off. Then I'll go over to layers and say my base cabinets, I will put do not display label. Or I could display a bill of materials number without labels, so it just listed them in order of how they were placed and where they show on the bill of materials. Don't know my base fillers I'll need. Appliances and plumbing, I really don't need the labels to show, so I'll do not display label. Walls already no label. What else do I need to worry about? In the end, I'll want to go with my countertop. That's already do not display. Backsplashes, moldings. So those are all set. So now I've got OK. And there's my customer view listed by bill of material numbers. View 3. I'll right click, display settings. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to make everything disappear that's not a cabinet, so that all I'm going to be left with is my walls and my cabinets, and I got rid of fillers. I don't want to. No, fillers must have been. Oh, here they are. Base fillers, and if I had wall fillers, but I'll leave those checked. So now I'll come up here and base. I'm going to check on this, and I'll make my base items all a nice little mauve color. And I'll make my wall items all a little green. And then I'll take my base cabinets and give them a dashed line to meet NKBA guidelines. And I'll take my countertops. Oh, don't need to do that here. And I'll click OK. And there's my design with just the base and wall cabinets color-coded. So I'll call View 3 Cabinets. And then I might just come over here and do something different with View 4 or View 5, or just delete the view. And yes, and oh my gosh, I deleted that and now I need another view. I can add a view back. So I'll come back to our master, and the last thing I'm going to do here on the master is make my base cabinets with that dashed line, and grab my countertops and give them a red outline so they're a little more easily ready to distinguish between the placement zones and the base cabinets. So I've got all this done. Let's go a step further. I like these display settings, so I want to save them. I want to save my settings. What am I going to call my settings? So first I'm going to change it in my ProKitchen folder, and I'm going to call it Display Settings Master Customer Cab, and save. And now next time I'll click OK. And now when I come over here to this design, I could right click. Oh, I need a wall first. I could right click and do Load Settings, and then all I have to do is find my display settings, Master Customer Cab, open, OK, and here they're loaded, and I can delete 4 and 5. So that's a really nice tool for saving your settings. And once you've done it, I find it will oftentimes, next time I open up a ProKitchen, it will automatically import those settings. So we're back to here. I've done my cabinets. I've got my windows. I don't need any doors. I've got all the appliances I need, all the plumbing I need. Time for lighting. I'm going to throw in some under cabinet lights. I think they always look good in a design, so I'll just take one here and I'm going to place it at this cabinet. And I'll left click in place, and now I'll do another one under the cabinet next to it, and it's at the back. I want to move to the front, so I'll right click and it comes out, and I'll place another one over here, and that's outside the cabinet, and that's not going to work, so I'll move that back. And I'll place one more in the corner. This one, I'm going to right click and move it out here, and then I'm going to right click on that one and rotate it 45 degrees clockwise. Finally, I'll put in some canned lights. I like this one. It's just a simple plain non-directional can. And I'll place it one in front of my sink here, and say another one down here by the fridge, and I'll do one over here by these cabinets, and I'll put some pendants over the knee wall. Place this, and whoops, didn't go quite where I wanted. I'll right click and hold the control key down to move it through the wall. And I'll cancel, and I'm going to grab this pendant and control drag. There, move it over a little, right click, move it. Now these are hitting the wall. That is a warning to me, and I know I've got a bug here that I've never reported. I'll check the up down. And my pendants are at 0 inches. They're not on the ceiling, they're on the floor. So I'm going to put the top to be 0. And now they're a little higher, and they wouldn't have hit the wall if they had been here to begin with. They would have let me put them exactly where I wanted them. So this one I'm going to put in at 0, and now they're set to the ceiling. Now, let's say I have another feature I love to show off. We'll move on through here a little more. Got all my lighting. I'm not going to worry about furniture or decorative items. Don't need any more solutions. But I do need a countertop. One click adds my countertops, and you see it came in with a red line. but I still need a knee wall top over here. How do I get that? I'm going to click on the little icon that looks like a Harry Potter wand, and it automatically imports the pieces that I already created, and it gives me a choice to create a new piece and to choose a shape. I'll grab a rectangle. That's 48 inches here, so to give it a 15-inch overhang, I'll make it 63. And I had it 4.5 thick, so it'll need to be 16.5 to give it the overhang I want. And now I've got it pretty much in place. Give it a little overhang. Bring this out so I can see the whole thing a little better. And now I've placed my new piece. My next tab, corners. Of course, you don't want to have a sharp corner where there's a walkway. So the first option is outer radius. It defaults to 3. You can change that, or I'll just see. You can see a little red arc by my mouse. I'll left click and place. Left click and place. But the end, what if I want that round, not rounded corners? Well, half of 16.25 is 8.25. So I'll round the end. I could put in a bump in or a bump out if my customer wanted one, say by the sink, or a cutout for the sink. I've got a 39-inch sink, so I'll type in 39, and it's placing it off the corner cabinet. So I need to offset that 36 inches to the center. That's half of my 42-inch base, 21, plus the 15-inch cabinet that's between the corner and the sink base. And now this is centered. I could tell my fabricator what edge profile I need. Round over, bullnose, those are all very popular. I use the waterfall simply because you can see it better in the 3D. So I'll put it all the way around here. And I don't know what's going on here. It shouldn't be separate pieces there. And now I've got my edge profile put in all the way around. Now, I can choose my material. You click. You won't have these here loaded the first time you use it. When you click Add Material, you give something a name, such as the tan granite, and then you would do Select, find your material. I don't even have my tan. Here's my granite. And click OK. Give it a price, select Apply, and then you can put it into the design. You can even use multiple materials in the same design. I've got a blue laminate with a different price. Drop it into the design. You can add a CNC radius or a European miter if you'd like. Unlike another software, you do not have a European miter automatically put in at every corner. You have to add it if you want it, but you don't have to remove it if you didn't want it. The backsplash will be the same material you have selected here. So I probably don't want a blue laminate. I'll do my tan granite. I may want someday to put in, say, a tile backsplash, but for now I'll just use the tan granite, add backsplash. The width will auto adjust. I tell the depth and height that I want, and I place the backsplash. And now I've got my backsplashes put in all the way around, and I think I'm done. And I realize I made this one, number 4, a 4-inch height, when that would leave a half-inch gap between the bottom of the knee wall and the top, the bottom of the countertop and the top of the backsplash. So I'll edit that one, 4.5. And now this one is a custom height. I could add sinks and appliances to the design through the Countertop Designer program. The only time I've ever seen a need for this, I had a gentleman who built a Roman tub with a deck all the way around. He created the deck and everything in here, and then he added the tub. The BOM is your bill of materials. This is a price list for your countertop. Now, the price list on the left is your permanent price list, and it's all zeros the first time you use it. Anything you put a price in here, such as my corner radius outer of $50, will be permanent. And I did that for the 8¼ inch rounds. But my 3-inch should be free, so I'll click in the design portion of the pricing and override the price list. Now it's 0. And I'll do the same over here. And we'll bring this down to about a $2,650 retail countertop. The report, before I print it or preview it, I usually change the template to the portrait setting so you get the full bill of materials. Here you've got a beautiful report that you can print, save as a PDF and email to your fabricator, or if you do your own fabrication, the only item that we sell separately in our software is the application to send this straight to a CNC machine right here. The last tab is the most important and the most aggravating if you forget, because this is how you place this, what you've done here, into the design. It's all just been an exercise if you don't do place all. And there's my countertop. So I can close here, and I'm going to right click on this countertop and hold the control key down and select drag. Now I'll move it left right, and that's lined up exact, and I'll right click and I'll do the up down. And there I've got it exactly where I want it. I'll left click and place it. Now, I've done my countertops. I don't need a backsplash, but I do need moldings. One click, and it adds all of my moldings. Now, once again, I will demonstrate that I'm not a designer by doing something you wouldn't do. I'm going to come over here and take my classic crown molding and stack it upon itself, just to show you how simple it is to stack. Click and drag to the cabinet, and it auto-stacks the molding. Now, let's see what we've done. I can go to 3D. And after it renders, the first thing up, I goofed. I'm going to close out real quick. I forgot to change the height of my countertop. Right click and make it a new wall top. Up, down, 40½. It also reminds me of another item I wanted to show you, but I'll come back to that. 3D. Once it's rendered, the first thing I'm going to do is right click and rotate the walls to the angle that I want. There we are. I have a bug I need to report. Whenever I use the countertop designer, it fills in the sink. Once again, I'll close out of here, and I'm going to right click, open up the countertop designer. I'll come to my cutouts and delete it because I've already created the report for my fabricator. I will place the updated countertop, and now when I go to the 3D for a third and final time, there's our kitchen. Now, one of the first things the next thing I usually do here is go to my lighting. And I'm going to go to the lighting here, and I'll turn all of my non-undercounter lights down. They tend to come in at 100 watts. I forgot to change the size of my candle lights also. You can see they're huge. I'm also going to turn off my default light. Since I have the customer's own lighting, I don't need the default, so I'll click OK. Now here's our kitchen with the natural lighting. Now with our new 3D technology, you see the windows have depth. The lighting will stream through the windows. You'd be able to see the through any glass doors. But there's more that we can do in 3D. This button here will open and close all of the doors. Here's our Lazy Susan. There's the cutlery tray we put in. I forgot to put in a wastebasket. I usually have a wastebasket in there. So you can add the details and see them when you open the doors. Also, if you have a rectangular or U-shaped room, this can be a problem, getting to see across. This button here is your friend. It hides that wall so that when it's blocking your view, it disappears. When it's not blocking your view, it comes back. Now, here's something. If I'm rotated around the back, I've set these two walls so that they won't disappear by putting the placement zone inside and outside. But if I come around, you're going to see we can look into the kitchen through the window, which is another new part of our version 7. Now, you say, what's the big deal about that? When will I ever have a need for my customer to see into the kitchen? Well, if that's not a window but a pass-through from another room, that might be a big deal. You can also come over here, change the ceiling style. Right now our ceiling is just plain white, but I could come over here and make it a plaster, blue, apply. Okay, now we got a new ceiling. Or I could come over to my walls. I had one customer tell me that this was her client's exact, no, not that one. This one was her client's exact wallpaper. And when the client saw the cabinetry in the design with her wallpaper, she thought that my customer had actually photoshopped the wallpaper into the design. So you can see there's a lot you can do here. I'm going to cancel out of that. Whoops, it's still there. Also, you can change the floor style. The countertop style will not work if you use the countertop designer application. That overrides this function. But you can also change the door style. You can show them different specs. Say they really wanted cherry, but they wanted to see what it would cost in oak because that's a little less expensive. Well, we'll keep the finish color. We'll go to honey. And now I had the lid and glaze. Just for grids, here's the same kitchen in a different wood. Or I could come back here and reset the parameters and maybe change the door style. And there's the whole kitchen in a different door style without having set everything else, such as the wood species, keep it cherry, and so on. I'll reset this. So you can show them the picture without changing the quote or changing the design. But the best part here is the light and shadow renderer. It allows you to, choose glossier matte for each of your surfaces, as well as the size of the rendering that you want to do. So you can render it in the standard tablet or a conventional or widescreen computer monitor, or if you have one in your showroom, a 17, 32, or 50-inch screen TV. I'm using a conventional LCD monitor, so I'll render it this way. And now you can see the photo quality of the rendering. The photo quality of the cabinetry, down to the shadows, the lighting. But this is a poor example. This is a salesman's design, someone who doesn't know how to lay out a kitchen that someone would want to buy. So I'm going to show you the first design that one of my customers did in ProKitchen. And she sent it to me because she had a couple questions. But here you'll see what a designer can do with ProKitchen. This is closer to what you will do with ProKitchen. Now you see the background here is black. That's another change with our version 7. we're changing it so that it's coming in with a white backdrop. We had a lot of complaints about the black. Notice the lighting here. I mean, that's just really pretty cool, I think. But here is what you, as designers, the type of work that you will do. One of my customers said that during his free trial, someone came in shopping a design from Home Depot. He recognized the cabinetry as a line that he carried, and he did the exact same layout in ProKitchen as Home Depot had done, using the same cabinetry, knowing he'd be a few dollars more, but wanting to see how the rendering compared. Well, the customer wasn't as discerning as my client and didn't know it was the exact same design and kitchen as he was quoted from Home Depot, and bought it from my customer because the rendering was so much better, which was enough reason for him to want to purchase the software. And by the way, I'm running on a $400 laptop with the bare minimum computer requirements, which is why this takes about 2.5-3 minutes to render on mine. One of my coworkers has an Intel i5 processor. And I've only got the i3, so he can render the same thing in about 20 seconds. But so far, do we have any questions at this point? Does anybody have any questions for me? I'm going to skip back over here. Actually, I'll go out of this. I think we've seen enough here. When that's done, you can save it as a standard PDF so that you can open it up just like I did this without having the customer to wait. But here's our kitchen. You can also send this to your customer using this email design icon right here. One click, you can attach the current design. The DSG file can only be opened by another ProKitchen, so if you're sending it to another designer or to yourself to work at home. Well, the showroom file is the fully rotational 3D that can be opened on any computer, and the RVD file can be opened on any iPad, Android, or tablet. And the nice thing about that RVD file is if you've sold a kitchen to someone and they haven't had it installed yet, send them the photo of their new kitchen. They will show it off to people like baby photos, and in the process advertise your business. Oh, and one of the things I did forget to tell you, that new, this version 7 produces the logo that I installed when I did the 3D selections. This is where the logo shows up in this high definition picture. Now, I just clicked on there has created a showroom file and an RVD file for you to send to your customer. Type in their email address. You can put other attachments, and it tells them before opening the ProKitchen Showroom design, download and install ProKitchen Showroom. The Showroom Standard is a really big file, almost even perhaps larger than the ProKitchen, but it allows the customer to change door styles and finishes. Many people don't want to wait for this to download, so they do the Showroom Lite, which is a smaller file, but just allows them to zoom in, zoom out, and rotate. The RVD file can be opened in the application iProK3D, which is a free download from the Apple Store and the Droid Marketplace. Also, our print functions are very simple to use. If I come over here and use the print preview instead of the print, I get the option to choose what I want to print. Everything, or just what's up on the screen, or my plan views, my elevation views, or my favorite selected views. Where I'd come over here and choose, say, the master and my 2 elevations, and click OK, and OK again. And here's the floor plan. Say I want this to be a little bigger, I'll increase the ratio. I do that and I lose a little of the design. So I click on the mover and I move it so that I've got the whole design in the picture. Now I've lost some of the dimensions, so that's the choice. Do you want to make it bigger and lose dimensions, or smaller and include everything? Here's my elevation 1 without the dimensions, elevation 2, and you can print it or save it to a file and email it. You can do the same thing with a print template, only here you choose how many items you print per page. So you choose your template, click OK, and then right-click in an open space and add to view what you want to show. I'll right-click here and add, say, the sink wall. And that's too small, so I'll right-click on it again and scale it to fit. And then right-click here, fridge wall, and scale to fit. Now here, I've got many customers that like to put in their door and drawer hardware. You could do that under Add Image, or any image that you saved. Let's see if I have my Kitchen Demo HD. Will that come in? Nope, that didn't come in. I usually do, we'll try my 3D, the Arbor Square. There, that shows up nice. Once again, you can print it or save it to a file and email it. All of this is nice, but it's much nicer if you can print a manufacturer's report. I forgot, skipped over my 3D model browser. If you can't find something in ProKitchen that you need to include in your design, you can come to the Google 3D Warehouse and find it here. Just type in the item you want, hit search, and click it, download it, and drag it in. But be careful, because you can get some unusual things, such as I had a customer put in a dog and a dog dish. They chose this dog bowl. Well, when they went to download it, I did download model, choose the larger the sizes so you get a more high definition item, and there's a person in here. And this dog dish is 538 inches. It's bigger than the kitchen. Well, make sure you edit your size. So this is maybe 16 by 8. But I've still got that funny person off to the side, so you got to be careful what you do. And I can do add to design, and I can throw the dog dish and a dog in here if I needed to. Manufacturer's report. Click home. I click on it, and it brings up the menu. It puts the order form into the manufacturer's own the order into the manufacturer's order form. Come down here to the dealer multiplier. Put in your multiplier and your account number up here. Here is my purchase order. I don't know where that came in from. Purchase order number 1. Oh yeah, on the first page. Well, that's new. I had someone request that just the other day. Okay. Now I've got this in here, and it's going line by line through the order at list price. And you get to the end, and you see the total cabinets, the upcharge for global options, and then your cost. Similarly, a customer report does the same thing at list price. Or I use the multi-quote report, where I can give the customer more than one quote at the same time. I'll do 2 quotes here. We have a 6% sales tax in Michigan. I don't bill design, charge, and shipping separately. I'm going to charge $50 per box. And I had a 30% multiplier, so if I mark that up 50%, that would be a 45 multiplier, which equates to a 55% discount. Include, I'd come over here and put my logo into the design. I'll skip, I won't worry about that. And I'll come over here, project settings. Oh, Dingling needs to make up her mind. I better delete that. Quote number 1, what I'm trying to sell the customer. Quote number 2, I'll change the door style. And I'll keep everything else the same. And now, view report. And here we get our customer page. The difference between the 2 orders, the only difference is the door style and the fact that the Arbor Square does not offer a glaze. And then we get the side-by-side difference in list pricing based on their choices, so they can see the difference in cost. And then finally, with your generous discount, they see the kitchen of their budget here, but the kitchen of their dreams is only $2,500 more, and it's what they're going to see every day for the next 15 years. And hopefully if you've done your job well enough and your customer is reasonable, they'll purchase the more expensive kitchen. And at this point, I'm going to open up the phone lines for questions. So if any of you are interested, you can call in now. And just a moment, and I'm going to bring up the dial-in number. I forgot to get. The number you want to dial in is right here, 1-702-489-0001, access code 375-503-619, and the audio pin I don't think we will need. So if you have any questions, please call in now, and I'm available to answer questions. Actually, I'm just taking everybody off of mute, so if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. Hello, anybody there? Hello? Hello? Does anybody have any questions?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, who is speaking?
This is Mike Bremenauer. Is this Bill?
Yes.
Okay. I have a question. You know, I downloaded the software, the designer showroom to my desktop, and then tried to save, you know, the 3Ds, and I was not able to open them. So I you know, I wasn't able to do that, so I'd able to do the thing with the iPhone.
Okay. So you save the image itself as a static 3D image. When you do it, you want to check the Save As and pick the type of document you're saving. So your computer may better open a JPEG or a PDF or whatever. Choose the file type you want it to save as.
Which one should I save it as?
That would depend on how your computer works. If it didn't work as a JPEG, try it as a PDF.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And then do I export it to the customer?
It would just be a standard attachment like you'd use for any other item.
Okay. But then they would need to know how to open it through the
Yes.
you just showed us. Is that what that was?
Correct.
Okay.
Sit back with Tracy.
All right. Well, I'll try that.
Because you're almost done with that.
Yeah, just so you can hear the question.
Okay, thanks.
And I do see one person. Okay.
Yeah.
I do
still one more.
go ahead. Any other questions?
I have another question, Bill. Just when I talked to you about this before, and I'm not sure if there's a way to fix it, but when I go to print out 8.5 by 11s, the drawing seems to be, the margins are really wide, so I can't get a good scale in my drawings. Is there a way to change the margins? I mean, I see a place to do that, but it doesn't seem to do anything when I change them.
I found that it's just a case of playing around with them and experimenting with them. You can change the stamp form here to change some of your margins, and the rest would be in the margins of your paper that you do in your page setup.
Okay. All right.
I had that same problem and found something that worked.
Who is this speaking? And I'd love to hear your solution.
My name is April, and if you exit out of that page setup window,
I'm
so
sorry.
that you can see the settings behind it.
The page setup window I have right here.
If you
Just for a
close
moment.
that,
Yes.
the page format ISO A4 landscape.
Yes.
Mine was defaulting to a paper size of A4, and I had to change it to paper size A, and it fixed my margin problem.
Okay.
Okay. So here's the page
I think
size.
it's the first one, the size. Yeah, if you go to change it to letter, it fixed my margin problem.
Okay,
I did
that's good to know.
I did try that, but that didn't work for me.
Oh, darn.
But I'll play around with it again because it set it up for like an A4, and I think that was the default. And well, I'll try that. So it's N. Maybe I didn't go NA.
We used a lot of the features in 2020. Do you find a lot of them? Yeah.
Does somebody have a question about the 2020 they said about plotting something? I thought I just heard a question.
One question from me.
Yes?
This is Connie Bilson. It seems as if you have for the countertop, you need to send that to a CNC machine.
You can, yes.
And what CNC machines does it support? Does it support a ShopBot?
That I'm under the impression it'll send a DW whatever files in for any CNC machine. Whatever machine you use, there's some very, very minor editing that you need to do before you actually hit the print, but it will support just about any CNC machine.
Okay.
That application is an extra $500.
Okay, a quick question. This seminar is being recorded, and where can we find it on the internet?
I will email that to you. I don't know where it's going to be. I haven't quite figured that out yet.
I left him a message.
So when I find that, Cooley, I will send that to you.
Okay. Cool. Well, yeah, I guess we did our job
Wonderful.
then.
And
So,
what my address, you have that on your
but
file.
I'm sure he'll call me tomorrow. And if so, could you swing by tomorrow?
Thanks.
Okay, cool. Thanks, buddy. I'll give you a shout tomorrow.
I had to do that. I had to put them in the dishwasher in my refrigerator in my old house.
Yeah, because sometimes you have to, but this is a vacation you didn't have to.
All right.
No,
Is there anything else I can help you with? Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, it's all
He
right.
did his job.
Okay, well, I'm going to call this a wrap, and thank you for attending our meeting today, and if you have any questions, please, I encourage you to contact your ProKitchen Software representative. Have a good day.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.